Hello, Jenny Kassan here. I'm an attorney and coach for entrepreneurs who want to raise capital on their own terms. I wrote a book called Raise Capital on Your Own Terms: How to Fund Your Business Without Selling Your Soul. And I have raised money myself in the past, and I am currently raising money using an investment crowdfunding campaign. And I thought it would be fun to record videos along the way to kind of share what I'm doing, what's working, what's not working. So today is the first video, and it's day 3 of my investment crowdfunding campaign, and I've raised $1,000 so far. My goal is about five. I don't know for sure what my goal is. It's a little bit of a moving target, but probably 550,000. And it's a campaign to raise money in the form of equity for a real estate project. And, I'm technically not supposed to say that because if I were advertising my offering right now, I would be breaking the law because you're not supposed to mention the terms of your offering. But I am not advertising the offering. I'm sharing educational content about my progress and what I'm doing to raise money from investors using crowdfunding. And I hope that it will be useful to others who might be raising money too. And, maybe you'll share feedback on your experiences and I can learn from that as well, because I'm definitely not claiming to be like the wizard at raising money. Obviously, it's day 3 and I've only raised $1,000. But I have, like I said, I have raised money in the past. The first time I raised money from investors was back in 2010. I raised about 200,000 for a business that I had at the time, which was a law firm. Then we went back and raised some more. We raised another 50,000. I then raised money for an nonprofit in the form of debt investment, and that was a group effort. It was me and a team, and we raised about 1.1 million, and we raised some of that using investment crowdfunding. And that was in 2017 when the federal crowdfunding rules were quite new. Then I helped another business raise money. We raised, I think, about 250,000 from, I think it was debt. It was debt. Yeah, it was revenue-based debt. And then I've been raising money for this particular real estate project, which is a mission-driven real estate project. I've already raised about 2.1 million, and it's taken me a while. And it's been a few years actually that it's taken me to raise 2.1 million. But I'm at the point where I'm ready to be done with this and finish the project. Because it is a historic building, the cost to renovate it has gone up from what we originally anticipated, because we discovered some things about the building that weren't evident when we first bought the building. But I'm thinking that I'm predicting that the overall budget is going to be around 3.1 million, so I need to raise about another million. And I think I have historic tax credits, so that should put in maybe about, I have investors that will invest in those tax credits, so that should add another 400,000. So I'm hoping I can raise about 550,000, and that'll fill the gap. So I've raised 1,000 so far on the using the regulation, the crowdfunding platform. But I am really excited because up until now, I've been raising money in a way where all my investors had to be accredited, which, if you don't know what that means, it means they've had to have at least $1 million in net worth, excluding their primary residence, or 200,000 in annual income consistently, or 300,000 with a spouse, basically. Or if it's an entity that is the investor, they have to have 5 million in net assets. So that's, I'm not sure exactly what the percentage of the population is that's accredited. I would guess it's about 10%. So, I can now raise from 100% of the people. Anyone can invest. So that's really awesome. So what am I doing to raise money? Like, what is I want to share kind of my process so that I can look back someday and be like, ah, remember how it seemed kind of like a big hurdle, but now look at this. The building is up and running and open and meeting its mission. Um, and I can look back fondly on the early days and the days in the middle and the days at the end. And hopefully my experience will be helpful. A lot of people who raise money using investment crowdfunding, uh, or people who research it, there's a lot of stuff out there about marketing your campaign. And you will hear that maybe, you know, you should really invest a lot in marketing. In fact, like I've heard people say, spend at least 20,000 a week on marketing your campaign. And a lot of people, when they raise money, they will um, have a rolling close so that they can, with the first close, they can pull money out and they use that money for marketing to raise the rest. My process is going to be very different because what I'm offering, it's not necessarily the type of thing that's going to attract a ton of people who are just hearing about it through some marketing effort, through some, social media posts or whatever, because it's a very specific type of project. It honestly, it's not it's not promising to pay outsized returns. Like a lot of the I think it'll pay reasonable returns, but it's not like one of these things that people are like, oh, I might get in on the ground floor of a unicorn and I might 10x my money. And there's this potential to make a huge amount of money. So I think a lot of the things that get traction by spending a lot on advertising, they're kind of creating this excitement around the potential for really, really high returns. And that's not something that I can do. That's not realistic. It's a real estate project. It's, like I said, it's highly mission driven. So we're not necessarily maximizing the revenues. There's definitely a nice revenue source. There's apartments on the upper floors um, that I think should generate some nice revenue. But the activities on the first floor, there's going to be like a lot of community activities. Really, my mission is to use the first floor to support entrepreneurs with helping them raise capital. Um, so it won't be generating as much revenue as it could if we were solely focused on maximizing financial returns. Anyway, so I'm not going to be focusing on advertising. I certainly will probably do some advertising, maybe not paid, maybe more earned media. I actually already have a podcast that that already came out with Andrew Yang, who's part of the project, that got a lot of views. I don't know if it came out before the campaign went live, so I don't know if it'll lead to investments. So actually, that just reminded me I should definitely put the link, and I've been on a few podcasts lately. I should put the link to the crowdfunding page on those podcasts, right? Yes, I will do that. Okay, thank you. This is a good idea. So, anyway, what I've done so far, so it took a while for it. There were so many technicalities that had to be dealt with to get the thing up and running. Honestly, I've been working on it for months, and I'm a securities lawyer, and I've helped many, many clients do crowdfunding campaigns under regulation crowdfunding. Um, and of course, that's somewhat slowed us down because I'm very particular and nitpicky. So I really went over things with a fine-tooth comb. We had to kind of make sure everything was super correct. Anyway, so it finally went live on Friday, and I couldn't pay a lot of attention to it on Friday because I was actually traveling. So I considered Saturday my day one. So I sent out a bunch of emails to people that I thought would be inclined to invest because they know me really well. They know about the project I've been working on. I've been talking to them about it forever. And I did not get a single investment from those emails. Now, of course, I'm going to follow up with those people. So, one thing I'm doing, and I'm trying to be religious about it, is tracking all my outreach in HubSpot. So I have a free version of HubSpot, and what I do is every single person that I reach out to about investing, either about investing or even about like, hey, can you help me spread the word about it? I put them in HubSpot as a contact and I log everything I do. So, like, if I send them a message on LinkedIn, there's actually an option in HubSpot to log a LinkedIn message, to log a text message, to log an email, to log a phone call. And I'll just quickly log every outreach I do and make notes on what the outcome was in that log. And then what I'll often do, and this is what I really like about HubSpot, is it's really easy to set a task for the default is 3 days, 3 business days later, but you can change that. So every time I do outreach, if I don't get a yes or no, I'll add a task in HubSpot to follow up, usually in 3 days, and I'll keep following up until I get a yes or a no. And so what I realized is sending emails may not be good enough, a good enough way to get people to, people are busy, and I'm sure they like probably many of them were like, oh yeah, I'll look at this later. I don't think it's a no, but it did not result in any investments, at least up until now. So I realized I need to make phone calls. So what I do is I put in my calendar, I block off as much time as possible to make phone calls to people. And how do I decide who to call? I kind of am just I'm very broad about who I add to my list. So honestly, today I do have a bunch of people in HubSpot, but what I decided to do today was I went through my contacts in my phone and I just started looking at my contacts and jotting down every single person that I thought it would make sense to ask. And of course, sometimes thoughts will come up like, oh, I don't know if I should ask that person, or, oh, I haven't talked to that person in a long time. Will it be awkward if I call them? And then they realize I'm just calling them to ask them to invest. But I really try to put those thoughts aside and just tell myself, hey, I'm not hurting them by asking them to invest. They know, I mean, these people that I'm reaching out to, they at least know me a little bit to know that I'm really passionate about this project. I'm not doing it to like line my own pockets. I'm doing it because I think it's a project that will benefit everyone involved. Maybe financially, definitely financially, but not necessarily to an extreme, but in many other ways. So I just try to get over those doubts and just say, hey, I'm offering them something. I'm not asking for a donation. I'm asking for them to invest. And I believe that they will make a return on their investment. I don't think it's a bad return at all. I think it's very comparable to what they could make in the stock market or even a little bit more. So I just like I jotted down a lot of names. I only got through C and I already had quite a few names. And then I was like, okay, let's first call the people who are on the East Coast, because it's later in their day. And I just picked a few people and called and had some really great conversations. It's kind of nice to have an excuse to reach out to someone that you haven't talked to in a while. And then at some point I told them about what I was doing, and then I said, would you like to invest? Are you interested in investing? Would you consider investing? And then they say either yes or no. And so today I had one person, let's see, how many people did I ask today? I think I asked 4 people. One person I just left a voicemail and told her what I was doing, and she invested. She was my first investor, and all I had to do was leave a voicemail, which was lovely. And then I talked to someone else. He said he would invest. He hasn't yet, but I do believe he will. And I think the other two, one of them said no. Trying to, I can't remember. I think two of them, the other two said no. So 50% positive rate. I told myself I would raise $2,000 today. I try to set a goal for the week and I set a goal for 90 days, which is to complete the raise by the end of 90 days and then um, smaller goals. So I said, okay, if I'm going to complete the raise by 90 days, I need to average about 40,000 a week. So that's, I need, if I were to raise money every single day, it's about 6,000 a day. But I also know that in the beginning, it'll probably be a little bit less and then momentum will grow. So I gave myself a goal to raise 2,000 today. I got 1,000 so far. The day's not over. And 10,000 this week. So, and again, I need to really be good about logging. I still have a lot of logging I have to do in HubSpot. I want to be good about that because in the past when I've done fundraising, the logging of contacts has been a really difficult thing. I've tried to do it in a Google Sheet and it's just been kind of a nightmare. So, um, yeah, and then the other thing there's someone I know who's really interested in crowdfunding and wants to learn more about it. So I said, "Hey, do you want to help me with my crowdfunding campaign? That's a great way to learn about it." And he said, "Yes." So I have a call scheduled with him on Wednesday. I also made an appointment with another potential investor using their Calendly link. I got on their calendar for tomorrow. Um, so hopefully we'll keep the momentum up, keep up the positivity. I'm also trying to do good things for myself, like exercise, do yoga, meditate, trying to keep negative messages out of my head, trying to limit my consumption of negative messages or just this, scrolling on social media. I'm trying to make sure my mindset stays good. So this is day 3. It's a little after 7 o'clock p.m. So we'll see if I get another 1,000 by tonight. But if not, I'll just try to raise 3,000 tomorrow. All right. I hope this is enjoyable for you. If you have anything to share or questions, I can definitely answer lots of legal questions. I'm an expert on the law governing raising money from investors, what to offer, how to do securities compliance, whether you're doing crowdfunding or not. I'm currently raising under regulation crowdfunding. Before now, I was raising under Rule 506C. There's many, many options. There's ways to do crowdfunding without using regulation crowdfunding. Usually, it's gonna be a state level compliance. Um, but there's some states where it's a lot easier than others. So I'm happy to answer questions about that. But I would also love to hear your experiences with raising money from investors using crowdfunding. All right, see you soon. Bye.